Welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all know who I am. I am Boss Man Blake. And y'all see who I got in the building with me. I got my big brother, John Q. And I want to welcome y'all to a special live. What's going on, John?
Hey, welcome everybody. Much love to everyone. Good to see the room is booming. How are you, Mr. Bossman?
Man, I'm okay. I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
I hear you. I see you've been busy over here.
Trying to anyway, you know.
Yeah, thought I'd come see what kind of work you're doing. You got fingerprints in the background. You got, let's say, crime scene evidence all over the place. So we got to check it out.
Yeah, trying to take it back to my roots. You know, we both started doing this in the Kanika Jenkins community, and we've been going strong ever since. So I said it's time to get back to it. Time to get back to work, as my big brother say.
Yeah,
go to work.
Let's go to work.
All right. Well, I want to holler at my people in the chat before we get started.
Definitely.
So running a little behind. Y'all got to excuse me. Let's see who we got in the building. We got Uncle Charles in the building. Welcome, my brother, Citizen M. And we got Miss Naisha. Y'all show some love to Miss Naisha. The story that we're covering tonight, this is her husband. So y'all make sure y'all show some love. I ain't gotta say respect, because that's what we do here. That ain't no issue. So y'all make sure y'all give her a warm welcome over here to the royal family. And we're gonna try to help Miss Naisha get some justice. So I'm gonna continue looking at the chat, see who else we got in the building. Before we get started, we got Miss Shay Love in the building.
Love.
Yeah, Triple C's in the building. Shout out to
Triple C is in the house. All right.
Yeah, shout out to Triple C's, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know anything about this story. And for her introducing me to Miss Naisha. So I appreciate that. What up, Ja Biggs? Ja Biggs is in the building.
Brother Ja Biggs. All right.
Yeah. We got Melanated Agenda. How you doing? My brother Oakland Raiders in the building. And Miss Lessie. Miss Lessie is in the building. What's going on, Miss Lessie? Thank you for tuning in. Brooklyn Core Cutters. Brooklyn, how you doing, my brother?
Brooklyn is in the house. Look out now.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn is up in the house. What's happening, brother?
What's going on? So, what I want to do, we're going to do an overview on this story. And I think we'll start with the article first, John. And then compare it to what it really is. And we're going to compare it to what was explained to us by Miss Naisha, and also compare it to some of the documents that we have received from her as well. All right,
sounds good.
So what we'll do, because I got to get myself crunk up, we're going to play your intro. I believe I have it up here. Please tell me I have it up here. Yeah, I got it in my system.
And the new one.
We're going to play the new one. We're going to
play the new one.
Yeah, we're going to play the new one. Yeah. Hey, believe it. We got to, man. We got to.
All right.
So y'all sit tight. When this is over, we'll go ahead and get started. So this is John Q's new intro. And we'll be on his page. Well, we'll talk about that later. So y'all check it out. Yeah. That was Q the Truth, the brand new intro for Mr. John Q himself.
Awesome work. Awesome work. Thank you, Mr. Boss Man.
Man, that's my pleasure, man. I appreciate you for continuing to support me, man. You know I ain't nothing but love, my brother.
You keep it real and you keep it solid. What else am I gonna do?
You know, I try. But shout out to everybody that done slid in the door. We're gonna go ahead and get this show on the road. Salute the kings and queens, Black TMZ in the building. Anyone I miss, I get with you as soon as I can, but we want to go ahead and get started and put this story out here because this story actually is 4 years old. 4 years entirely too long for there not to be anything done in this case as far as justice is concerned. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna take a look at this article. All right, so we're talking about Mr. Jermaine Covington. As you see here on this picture, that's him, his son, and his wife, Naisha. As you can see what the article reads at the top, handcuffed man killed himself with a cop's gun. Alright. So, this happened back in June of 2018. Now, the crazy thing about this, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there first, John.
All right.
Miss Naisha still have not received her husband's body. Still have not received her husband's body. 4 years later. Just let that marinate in your spirit as I read this article with you. All right, so as it reads, as Jermaine Covington was being arrested June 22nd after allegedly fleeing an accident, eluding police and attempting to a carjacking. He said he wanted to die and asked the police to shoot him, according to police reports. The attorney for his wife said Covington was apparently upset that he had crashed her BMW. Now, this is a blue BMW that Covington, Mr. Jermaine Covington, brought his wife, but he was driving it. At this point, she was actually on vacation in the Dominican Republic, but she was on her way back. All right. If the Hillside Township officers were worried that Covington's comments meant he was imminent suicide risk, they didn't mention those concerns or any steps that they took to address them in several reports about the incident. And you will see when we get to the reports, it was said by several officers who was on the scene that he kept saying, "Kill me, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die." And you don't see them do anything to address it. So I just want to throw that out there as well. If they thought that the 41-year-old Maryland man wasn't serious about wanting to die, they were wrong. Now, this is what was said by police, and there was one witness, and we're going to get into that shortly. And we're going to let you make the decision on what you hear. John, you got anything you want to say before I continue?
You're doing great. I mean, there's a 41-year-old male out of the Hillside Township in New Jersey. And for a strange occurrence like this to have taken place, where police had taken him into custody, and then all of a sudden he dies in police custody. And this is pretty much in a nutshell how they tried to put that story out there. And the details that we're about to get into tonight concerning what happened and how many people were involved in the death of Jermaine Covington, you will be quite astonished to learn. This will be just an introduction to this story tonight. This is going to be at least one out of maybe 3, 4, 5 parts. It's got a lot of details. We're talking about 4 years timeline and covering this information. and to get this story exposed to a point to where we can possibly get this information looked at by the New Jersey Attorney General's office in regards to reviewing this case, as well as police conduct and misconduct, because it's self-evident in the reports that there is misconduct here.
Most definitely. All right. And kind of save your questions towards the end. I'll definitely let you know when we'll start accepting questions, because I don't want to miss your questions while we actually go over this information with you. So we definitely will give you an opportunity where we're going to look at the chat and give you an opportunity to come up, or we'll answer questions as we go. All right. So he was cuffed with his right hand onto a bar in the processing room, and he dropped a cup of coffee or water on the floor. Now, John, I ain't hit that. When I read this is the first time I've seen this. A police officer went over and picked up the cup off the floor. Officer Eldridge Hawkins. Excuse me, the attorney Eldridge Hawkins. And that's Miss Naisha's attorney. He stated that in the interview. Now, I don't know who told him that or who gave him that information, but I read several documents, several police reports that came from the officer statements. None of them said that. But I just want to say that. I'm not saying it has anything to do with anything, but this is the first time I read that when I seen this. All right, so it says, Mr. Covington reached out with his left hand and pulled the gun out of the holster and shot himself dead. Now, I want to stop right there briefly and give you a little history on Mr. Covington. He had a rough life. He's been to jail in his past. He had some hard times, but when he met Miss Naisha, she helped change his life. But there was a time, I believe he got shot in his hip. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. And I think his arm, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he has limited use of his left arm. All right? And he explained that to the officers. They didn't believe him. They said, oh, you can move your fingers. So this arm that he has limited use in, that's the hand that he reached and grabbed the cop's gun. Now, one of the statements from the police officer stated that he pointed the gun to his head. Pointed the gun at the officer first, and then pointed it at his head and shot himself. All right. So, right hand cuffed to a bar, sitting on the bench next to another, suspect in another crime. Reached out with his left hand that he can barely even use, take a gun out of a holster that should have been strapped in with some type of safety on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, John.
There you go. You're hitting it.
So how he got this gun out of his holster, only God knows.
And you stated it right there.
Most definitely.
All of these police officer firearms. This incident was occurring during a booking processing time period, and usually, depending on the location of the police department and where it is, processing is separate from the holding area, the courts. If it applies to most jurisdictions, they actually have like a small courtroom to actually see the judge upon any kind of arraignment that needs to be taken care of right away, depending on the situation. However, in this particular situation, I believe that there was a safety violation for the officer to have his weapon present during processing, which is number one.
Right.
Number two, for allegedly Mr. Covington to have reached for that officer's gun, unstrap it from the holster, and was able to shoot himself, kind of is a telltale sign of the officer's weapon was not in safety mode, which is a violation of police department protocol for handling weapons. So you have to think of it or imagine it for the most part. If Mr. Covington doesn't know anything about a Glock 9 or 9mm and how it operates, how did the gun go off when the gun should have been in safety?
Correct. Now,
so I have a problem with that.
And what was stated in this same article, which you can see here below as a change is made, they now, I guess, either they created this rule where you can't have your service weapon in booking anywhere where the inmates are. Now, John, you stated that they shouldn't have had it in the first place.
Yeah, that's page 1 of the report. Think about it. They put that first, and then the report opens up regarding the incident. And I said, "Oh, okay. So there's two new rules now because of what happened that we want to make sure that the HPD, Hillside Police Department, understands." And this is from the police chief.
Right.
And it is to secure firearms outside of the processing booking center and to secure it in a locker. And they have to sign in and out that weapon between where the officer is and where that weapon is at all times.
Absolutely.
So I just found that just so ironic that it was on page 1. I said, oh, damn, they're opening up this whole thing with 2 new rules from the 229-page document that we were able to review the statements, police officers involved, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting you brought that point up. Thank you.
That's definitely. Now, when this article actually was put out, it was 6 months after the incident. And as you can see here, it says Ms. Naisha or her attorney, they couldn't even get basic reports about the arrest. Of course, as his wife, she questioned everything because it just didn't seem right. And we're going to go back to her story, but I just want to read this first, and we're going to go back and just take it step by step on what she told us happened. So just bear with us for a moment. We just want to read this because this is what the citizens of America seen first. For anybody who actually knew about this case or live in New Jersey, as I seen in the chat, a lot of people ain't even know nothing about this case. So we're gonna definitely bring some light to it and hopefully get some help from Miss Naisha. But of course, they stayed tight-lipped about how he killed himself. Of course, we just told you what they stated happened, but I don't know about that. But we're gonna continue. Now, one thing that tripped me out is Hawkins said he doesn't want to file a wrongful death suit without the basic information, but he will have to if authorities continue to stonewall him. Hey, you the lawyer. You know what I'm saying? The thing that always come to my mind is the original reason why you even tried to pull this guy over. That's the question, and we're gonna get into it shortly on this document, on this news article. All right, so of course they declined a lot of comments, and they made it seem like they declined the comments out of respect for Miss Naisha. Bullshit, if you ask me. But let's go. Now, what was stated was when they actually tried to pull him over, he wrecked his car. They say he ran into a telephone pole. Now, on this particular article, they stated the reason why they even tried to pull him over was because they thought the BMW that he was driving was stolen. In actuality, like I stated earlier, he bought the car for his wife. He just so happened to be driving it. She was on vacation. All right. So once he crashed the vehicle, eyewitnesses stated that he had a gun. So they called 911, so the 911 operator passes information on to the police. So they getting this information transmitted to them on their walkie-talkies. So they said he has a gun on him as he got out of the car and ran. Remember that. All right, remember that. So he got away, and they eventually caught him, supposedly. Well, I skipped the part. He attempted to carjack someone after he wrecked his car, who was in, I guess, a white BMW.
Right.
He was unsuccessful. So they got calls on that, and eventually caught up with him, trying to break in a building, house. They wasn't very specific about that, and that's when they encountered him. Now, this is where it gets crazy. They told him, put your hands up. They say he didn't listen. He told them, shoot me, I want to die, kill me. The officer stated he kept doing a movement with his hands like he had a gun in his waistband. Now, John, if that was the case, what do you think would have happened?
They would have put him down right there.
That just bothered me. You mean to tell me he told you I got a gun and he's acting like he's reaching for a gun and you didn't shoot him?
Yeah.
Amazing. So what happened? Officer, I believe his name was Vetter, and there was another officer with him. They actually subdued him.
I think the officer's name was Juanez or Johnez.
Juanez was there, but I think she was the female. I think it was. I'll pull up the report in just a second. I'm pretty sure it was either Vetter, but Juanez was there, but she wasn't the one who arrested him. It was two guys, because she's a female. But we'll get to that in just a second, just in case we're wrong, which I doubt it. So they subdued him. The whole time he was talking trash to him, saying, you should have killed me. They made sure we have this in our head that he wanted to die. That's all you're going to hear. That's all you're going to see in this report when we bring it up. All right? So this is pretty much before he gets to the precinct. When they arrested him, he had no gun. No gun was found on him. Right? John, you wanna go ahead and continue? You know,
well, according to the no, you're doing great. And I appreciate your candidness in getting right to the heart of the story. It was stated by the two officers that did apprehend Mr. Covington that in the back seat of the patrol car going to the police precinct to have him booked and processed for allegedly, now this is what I picked up in the report, that he was driving recklessly until he crashed into the telephone pole.
Right.
So there was a part of that report that did reflect that there was some kind of traffic violation that was present enough to give probable cause to have him pulled over, which I found very interesting. So I'm starting to work my way through that 229-page huge document. I thought the 180-page manifesto from the Buffalo, New York shooting was big.
Right.
And so in the back seat of the patrol car taking him to the police precinct, he kept reiterating, he should have killed me. He should have shot me. In that way, and the police officers took that as someone who was probably having some kind of a breakdown, some kind of an emotional issue going on with them at that particular time. They couldn't understand why he was saying that. He was just sporadically stating those things allegedly in that patrol car.
Right.
So from the statement, from the police statement, this is what they're saying he said,
Right.
which now becomes second and third party information that's built into the report.
Absolutely. TG Breaking News Global says, so he didn't kill himself with his gun. Nope, we haven't even gotten to that point yet. We haven't even got to the precinct. This actually happened inside of the precinct, which we did cover that, but maybe you missed it.
Yes, so he was in custody. He was in police custody at the precinct.
Now, what I also read, and I don't know, me and John talked about this earlier. I didn't know that they do this type of stuff. On the way to taking him to the precinct, they stopped because there was another crime being committed where they had another suspect from another crime subdued, and they stopped and picked him up as well.
And picked him up.
I've never known them to do nothing like that.
Like a taxi service.
Yeah, we're on our way. Let's kill two birds with one stone. What about the police officers that's there? Why they can't take him? But that's nowhere here or there. But that person they picked up became very vital to this case as well, because he was the suspect that was, sitting next to him when he supposedly shot himself. Okay. All right. So let me see if there's anything left on this particular article that we want to cover before we move on.
So this article, going back to the top, was an article that was posted and written by the, I think it was New Jersey, there it is, New Jersey, True Jersey. And this was published in
2019, January
19. Okay.
Yeah. 6 months.
So we
later.
went from June 22nd of 2018 to January 9th of 2019, but it was published on January 3rd of 2019 in the morning. Wow.
Yeah, and that's why I say 6 months later. So obviously there's another article that maybe I've missed, but this is the only one that kept coming up every time I Googled for it. So I just stuck with this one because, I already had most of the information from Miss Naisha. So I just want to compare it to what she told us. Let's see here. Making sure I cover everything on here that's important.
TG Breaking News Global says, no, I heard that part. I was just asking if he had a gun when he was pulled over. Why not shoot yourself then if he wanted to die?
Yeah, man,
go ahead and die. And he's listening. Good. I'm glad you're listening.
Question. That's a great
good
question.
Comment. Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Why go through all of that if you had the gun in the car and you wanted to, take yourself out? Why not do it and get it over with?
So, John, and I appreciate you bringing up that comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would that tell you? Do you actually think he really had a gun? Because, of course, like I said, when they pulled him over, and when they finally caught up with him, they didn't find a gun. All right?
Right.
And we're going to get to the part, where Miss Naisha told us about them, searching the car and all that. But if the story stopped right there and you didn't hear Miss Naisha's story, what would you think right now? Especially what TG Breaking News just asked.
Yeah, right away, your first impressions of this is, do we have some foul play here? If a gun wasn't found in the car and they stated that he had taken the gun with him but didn't find a gun on him during the arrest, then what gun are they talking about?
Exactly. We gonna make it super interesting when we get to the documents and then tell you what the information that was provided to us. So that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I'm trying to make sure I don't read anything that's not necessary. Prosecutor's office in Union Township, which is where the chase actually began. They did release some reports, 911 calls, and dispatch recordings, which I can't find, to New Jersey Advanced Media last week in response to public records requests. They revealed details about the alleged chase and crash that led to Covington's arrest. For Ms. Naisha, the information just raised more questions. She said police have not been forthcoming with her from the beginning. When they told her that her husband died, she said police wouldn't explain how. It makes it hard to trust anything they say, and that's the problem we have with America today.
Yeah. So, and one of the key words back in that last paragraph that you had read in media last week in response to public records request. Okay, there it is. The prosecutor's office and Union Township Police did release some reports. Some.
I wonder why. Why not all?
Why not all? Correct. Especially after, this publication 6 months later. You have to ask yourself that question. Why not all?
Yep. Ms. Naisha go on to say, I'm not getting closure. Nobody cares. He's just another black man. She said the loss is especially hard on her son. Of course, they have at that time he was 13. Jermaine Covington, he turned 14 in December. Now this kid got to grow up without a father. She said, my heart breaks for him. There's nothing I can do to bring this man back. She said it just hurt so bad. Adding to her distress was her belief that her husband's body had been cremated without her consent because his death certificate said so. She said Clinton Curry Funeral Home agreed to preserve the body in case further investigation was needed, but since the funeral home has not returned her calls or allowed her lawyer to see the body. We're going to get into that a little deeper as well. Now this right here,
that's interesting.
This bothered me. This last paragraph right here. Well, it's not the last paragraph, but of this particular section. Funeral home director Ronald Curry said the body is still being preserved in refrigeration, and cremation. I think I read that. Okay, cremation is listed on the document because that is what the family's ultimate plan for the body. Okay. He said he does not understand why the attorney needs to see the body because he is not a pathologist.
Pathologist.
Pathologist, yeah. Excuse me.
That's okay.
And the family has the medical examiner's report. Is that his place to make that decision?
The funeral director?
Right.
In regards to the, funeral director Ronald Curry said the body is still being preserved in refrigeration, so there is storage here. And cremation is listed on the documents because that is the family's ultimate plan for the body.
But the lawyer wanted to see the body. He said he don't know why he wanted to see the body.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, if the attorney is there to get some kind of verification as to the individual's ID, and whatnot, he should have been allowed that privilege, being that the attorney was representing the family at the time.
Now check this part out before we move on to the next section. Now, Curry said also he agreed to take the body from another funeral home to help Miss Naisha. But it has been half a year and he has not been paid for most of his work. You actually said that in a goddamn news article, bro? Like, really? Did you say that in a news article? We're going to continue. All right, let me check. You go ahead and
that's what it appears to be reported, boss. I mean,
I would have never said nothing like that, man.
They put it out there. They just put it out there just the way, they figured, people would see it. But that is it's a very insensitive statement.
Very, very insensitive statement. I agree with you, my brother. Let's take a look at this comment. Maybe to see if the police story lined up to his wounds. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I agree with you, TG Breaking News. And then Miss Naisha did say he got shot in his head and hip. I'm assuming that's what she's saying there. Uncle Charles says, so I take it there's no CCTV inside. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we gonna get to that, Uncle Charles. There's definitely some of that in there. That's
Uncle Charles wants to see the video. Show me the video. Show us the proof.
for real.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, why was he arrested? Ms. Naisha said her husband grew up in Newark. Of course, we already discussed all that. I already talked about all that. So let's see. Touched on that. He was a working man. Like I said, he changed his life when he got with Miss Naisha. So salute to Miss Naisha because, he was on the road to destruction.
Yes.
Prior to meeting her. So you got to give her a lot of credit for being a backbone for a man who was struggling in life. And I salute her.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so hard that she lost this man the way she lost him. Especially the way they portray it happen. You feel what I'm saying? Let's see.
And she makes a statement. I know he had a record before I took Jermaine out of New Jersey to give him a better life. He became a landscaper, was working jobs. Despite the injuries to his hip and left arm, that man worked every day.
And then she followed up to say that's why. She said it's hard to believe that her husband was trying to carjack people in Hillside on June 22nd, as police have said. Now, the only reason he was in New Jersey, she stated, was to pick her up from Newark Liberty International Airport. Though they lived in Baltimore, she had flown out of Newark. Then she went on a trip to the Dominican Republic, as I stated earlier, with some friends. Now, she waited at the airport for him to pick her up that afternoon. But you see these final words here? But he was already dead. Remember that. Remember that statement, people.
Yeah, that's key.
That's very key. Hours early, around 1:30 p.m., and then it goes into the whole story. They received reports that a man in a black or blue BMW who struck a car and was driving on the wrong side of the road on those streets in Union Township, according to reports, the dispatch recordings. Township officer, this is what I was telling you earlier right here, John. Officer David Popick wrote in a report that he pursued the vehicle but eventually called off the high-speed chase. He said he later learned that two officers on, I'm assuming that's Stuyvesant Avenue, had nearly been rammed by the same BMW as it drove on the sidewalk.
And hence the part in the report that says that he was driving recklessly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the next 911 call came in at 1:46, and the man said he saw the BMW with Maryland plates crash into a telephone pole on Route 22 in Hillside and saw the driver run away holding a gun. Police searched but couldn't find him. And this is just, I guess, a drawing of that area where the crash happened at. Then at 3:40 p.m., Hillside officers radioed that they had seen the man try unsuccessfully to carjack a vehicle at a car wash. Can you continue with that, John? I gotta take this call real quick.
Yeah, no problem. They chased and arrested him as he was trying to kick in a door to a building on Leo Street, the report said. Police said they did not recover a gun from Covington or at the site. At the scene, he was uncooperative and yelling he wanted to die, Popick's report said. Hillside Township Officer Natalie Aganowski noted in her report that as Covington walked toward the cruiser, he repeated, "Why didn't he shoot me? He should have shot me." And these are the same words that were written in the report from the two police officers who was taking him down for processing, stated that he kept saying while he was in the back seat. of the patrol car handcuffed.
All right. Wow. Oh man. All right.
So yeah, questions remain. This whole case, when you take a look at it at face value, there is a lot of concern here, major concern, on the way the Hillside Police Department handled this particular case. And as you'll see as we begin to unfold this story, there are a lot of things that they should have done that they didn't do.
Do you got the reports pulled up, John, by any chance?
The actual full report?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share it. I gotta go ahead and take care of Taylor real quick. I'll be right back. So I'm gonna take this down and I'm gonna play a song real quick, and we're gonna get into the actual reports and touch on the story that Miss Naisha told us. So let me take mine down real quick. Trying to see if I have anything up there. That's real quick.
Assets. The time is ticking, your time is up. That's all I know. That's all I know. I stay on go. That's just all I know. All I know. That's just all I know. All I know. All I know. All I know is to stay on go. That's just all I know. All I know.
Everybody wanna ride. Everybody wanna slide. Nobody wanna die. When they can look you in the eye, that's when they telling a lie. Everybody wanna ride. Everybody wanna slide, but nobody wanna die. When you and them killers collide, ain't nobody by your side.
This drop, it makes me feel like it's the afterlife. Looking back at the stage that I done mastered twice. Coming straight up out the air like I crashed a flight. I'm from the jungle where a square wouldn't last at night.
Go ahead, let that late night ride. Cause later on you gon' take that ride. That bad day you had, I'm gon' make that ride. Shit. See, we both work hard, so we gotta make a little time. And no time for the fuss and fight. So let your hair down, cause you must get right.
If this was a movie, this shit is a thriller. 6 niggas and you gotta figure out who's the killer. Terrorizing, horrifying, and spectacular. Terrific, the killer, who is it?
Black Sector Mafia. It's B-Sec Mafia, you know it's torture. I treat the cypher like a half-lit swisher. I'm about to smoke a portion. Yeah, so what you call it then? Cracked open the seal on this Mafia shit for the 3rd installment. Be in, let's get it.
The Mafia, we run them all. Spitting Kobe bars, make them wanna call. Face the amplify, electric cords. Niggas talking black, be the second
What I'ma do with you? You so demanding, but through my highs and lows, you still here standing. I'm fucks with
What I'm gon' do with you? What I'm gon' do with you? Listen, when I touch down, it's a round of applause that plays off in my head. I'm feeling like this my theme music, pulling up on the scene, cool, and this is not a dream, but I feel like I'm floating now, and this should be my theme music. Time to put it in motion now. Come on, Black Sector Mafia.
All right, John, you got it.
Okay. So, I can see my screen share. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I wasn't going to be able to see it.
Oh yeah, I got you, man.
All right. So here we have the 229-page document. The document opens up with, obviously, the Union County Prosecutor's Office, the acting prosecutor of Union County at the time, stated here, Michael Monahan. And he's writing a letter almost 6 months after the incident that occurred on June 22nd of 2018. And he's writing to the police chief, Vincent Riccardia, the Hillside Police Department. And in this document, he's giving high concern to protocol. And so he writes to the chief, please be advised that the Union County Prosecutor's Office has completed its review of the above captioned matter. It is the determination of this office not to authorize any criminal indictable complaints against Hillside Police Officer Joseph Vetter. We do find that Officer Vetter's experienced a momentary loss of situational awareness. Oh my God, how crafty that is. A momentary loss of situational awareness as Jermaine Covington reached for the Officer Vetter's handgun, overcame the hood mechanism that secures the handgun in the holster, pointed the weapon at Officer Vetter, and then Mr. Covington shot himself in the head. Based upon our investigation, including the review of the cell block and dash camera video and interviews of Captain Nicola, Officer Christie, Officer Anna, and Officer Vetter, we make two recommendations to substantially reduce the possibility of a suspect in the booking area grabbing an officer's handgun. First, no officer should have his duty weapon in the booking or cell block area when processing prisoners. Handguns should be secured in a nearby handgun locker before any police personnel enters the booking area. On September 5th of 2018, while at Hillside Police Department, on an unrelated matter, I visually inspected the police station and observed that a gun locker is now in use for prisoner processing. I am requesting a copy of any written policies banning firearms in this processing area. Please provide that to me at your earliest convenience. Second, Mr. Covington, while in the back seat of the patrol car, verbalizing suicidal ideation repeatedly to Officers Vetter and I think it's Janus, as they drove to the Hillside Police Station. I strongly recommend that the Hillside Police revisit or adopt a policy for handling of suicidal suspects in the processing area and offer training on the policy to the entire department. Please provide a copy of any existing or amended policies by December 31st of 2018. Further, be advised that you should feel administrative or disciplinary action is appropriate pursuant to, and this is the law under New Jersey State, you must commence such proceedings within 45 days of the date of this letter. If any disciplinary or administrative action is taken, you must advise this office in writing of the outcome. Thank you. Very truly yours, Michael Monahan, Acting Prosecutor of Union County. This was also signed off by the Special Deputy Attorney General, Acting Assistant Prosecutor. Now, this is what they gave to start the report off from the prosecutor's office concerning this particular situation. As we get into the report, and it's very detailed, and we're not going to be able to cover the whole daggone thing tonight. We're going to be doing this in parts, but to just to give you a general idea as to the activities of the police department, how they were able to respond to Mr. Covington during the time of this incident, what they did, how many other officers are involved, how they processed this whole scene of events all the way up until we get to when the body was transferred from that location to the funeral home for final processing. This is a lot, folks. And I can imagine Mrs. Naisha in regards to what she went through when she laid her eyes on this document. Once again, a lot of it is written in legal jargon, so it's not like everyday English. We're talking about sections, acts, laws, state laws, things of that nature that's built into the body of this document. But I want to welcome everyone to tonight's chat. And thank you so much for supporting Miss Naisha in her quest for justice. Her husband was taken from her. And in a way, no one could ever possibly imagine their loved one being taken from them in this way. The police are there to protect and to serve. They take a constitutional oath to do so. How a man dies in police custody during a booking processing activity is, you shake your head. How does it happen? And so far, we were able to at least give you some details as to what allegedly occurred according to police statements. That an officer went into the booking and processing area with a weapon. Now, obviously, that's a no-no. I feel that they had breached policy according to safety. It's a safety violation. Knowing that they are bringing in criminals for processing, they're fingerprinting, they're photographing, they're having you sign off on little documents here and there, and then they'll usually put you in a holding pen for further until further notice, until arraignment happens. Could be the next day, and if you're there on a Friday, it's not until Monday when the courts open up their proceedings again. But in this case, this did happen on a Friday, June 22nd of 2018. And so we could take a look at saying that he was going to be there for the weekend and possibly arraigned that Monday or Tuesday, depending on how busy the court circuit was. In every single manner of this case that I've been able to put my eyes on so far, the first 2 pages of what I just read you tells me that there's a red flag, that the police did breach a safety protocol, knowing damn well that if you're dealing with someone that is not in a cooperative state or cooperating with that processing, which in this case was the element that had occurred, and reaches for a police officer's weapon, which is supposed to be strapped and holstered, and to operate a 9mm Glock weapon, some of these weapons that they use, the typical standard sidearm is a Glock 9. And the safety has to be on. So how would he know how to operate that gun had the safety been on? The gun shouldn't have fired at all. Whether he had obtained the gun from the officer, according to their statements. But nonetheless, this had occurred. We had myself and Boss Blake, along with Miss Naisha, had taken a look at photographs that she was able to share with us. And these are very, very troubling, graphic pictures to actually analyze and review. I'm still analyzing them now and making my side notes. And it's based on, as so far, my overview of those photographs tell me that there was more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, possibly even 5 police officers that used excessive force to control Mr. Covington, and in a way caused exterior facial injuries beyond anything that he should have ever suffered. The gunshot wound that he suffered from was one, but the exterior peripheral facial injuries are extraordinary, to say the least, and heartbreaking to look at. Lacerations to the front lobe, forehead, from the center of his face all the way across the left side, over the eye to the side of the head. The skin has been taken completely off, according to the photographs that we looked at. An incredible abrasion to the nose, side of the cheek. There was also some areas behind the neck I had noticed that were extremely unusual. And when officers gang pile you on the ground, face down, to try to restrain you, to put handcuffs back on you, I'm thinking about what happened to George Floyd right away. Because no one gets extreme lacerations on their face like that without being face down. I'm also picturing multiple police officers in this particular situation upon pinning and trying to control Mr. Covington from an episode that he may have been having. We're going to be getting into a little bit of his medical background, because that is one of the key important parts of this case. He was on medication for a mental illness. Come to find out later, the police did, which is a contributing factor to everything that happened. And it's hard for me to sit here alongside of Mr. Boss Blake to believe that these guys did their job properly, knowing that Mr. Covington, in my opinion, suffered more a brutal assault for control and compliance than the actual injuries that they stated that Mr. Covington had suffered from, which was the gunshot wound to the head. Mr. Boss Blake, are you still with me? I didn't come over here to take over your platform now. You got me working. But that's just to give you the first couple of pages that they were most concerned of. Let's take a look at the notification detailed report. And this is a supplemental report in its entirety, outlining the actual event itself. On Friday, June 22nd, 2018, I was assigned on primary on-call detective for the Union County Prosecutor's Office Shooting Response Team, also known as UCPO/SRT. At approximately 5:30 p.m., I received a call from Special State Investigator and Acting County Lieutenant, and we'll just call her Cassie. By the way, Miss Chloe's in here, so hey, Cassie. We got some new people joining us. Thank you. Who advised me that there was an in-custody death of a prisoner at the Hillside Police Department, which occurred at approximately 4:45 p.m. Timeline. timeline, 4:45 p.m. Keep that in mind. Lieutenant Kim explained that a police officer was disarmed of his service weapon by a male prisoner inside the Hillside Police Department. After disarming the officer, the prisoner pointed the weapon towards his own head, discharged the weapon, and subsequently expired. The incident at the Hillside Police Department headquarters occurred in a room where prisoners are processed. Lieutenant Kim instructed me to report directly to the scene. I arrived at the Hillside Police Department, and there's the address, at approximately 7 p.m. The following law enforcement personnel had responded to the scene prior to their arrival. And as we can see here, there are a number of folks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in addition to that, the following personnel also was present, serving as points of contact, 7, 8, 9.
Sorry about that, John. I was having issues again, man. It logged me off again, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't leaving you up here stranded. I wouldn't do you like that, man. I was trying to get back to you.
I know that. So taking a look at the information regarding the service weapon that was secured and initial observations upon my arrival at Hillside Police Department, I was advised that the service weapon with flashlight attachment, and this is a Sig Sauer P320, 9mm obviously, of the officer who was disarmed, Police Officer Joe Vetter, was secured in a locker inside HPD. Upon entering the secured room where the incident occurred, I immediately observed the body of a black male dressed in a white t-shirt and torn dark-colored pants. The motionless body was positioned atop a wooden bench. On top of a wooden bench, which was bolted to the floor. I further observed that the male's right wrist was handcuffed to a steel bar located just above and parallel to the wooden bench. The male's head was resting on the floor in a pool of blood. The male was also later identified as Jermaine H. Covington, obviously date of birth and everything else like that. So this right here gives you a picture of this particular incident. Here this man is handcuffed to a steel bar, his right hand. He's on a bench, and his head is where?
On the floor.
On the floor. So when I started tying this piece of information over together into the photos that we looked at, I was beginning to build that picture in my mind and start to realize that these are not self-inflicted wounds, number one, especially the head contusion that his head and face, nose, side of the cheek, and back of the neck had shown. For a guy that relieved an officer of his weapon and shot himself, how do we get to all the other stuff?
Now,
where did all this other stuff come from?
Now, did you read all of the police reports, or have you even gotten to that point?
No, I haven't gotten to a lot of this because I was studying the pictures, going over my notes.
Okay. No, I'm not rushing you because I just want to know where you was at, so I know where we.
Yeah, so we're at a point of the service weapon secured, and then we're going to get ready to go into the background of the arrest and everything. You want to, if you can see it, do you want to chime in and?
Yeah, I can make my screen big.
Okay, I can blow it up a little bit. Hold on.
If you can, sir.
All
right. So on June 22nd, 2018, approximately 3:54 p.m., Mr. Covington, he was apprehended by members of Hillside Police Department in the rear yard of 612 Leo Street, Hillside, New Jersey. Earlier that day, Covington was operating the blue BMW that was pursued by officers from Union Township Department. The pursuit was eventually terminated. However, Covington continued driving recklessly on Route 22 until he crashed the BMW into a telephone pole. Subsequently, Covington fled the scene on foot into a wooded area. Police responded to the crash site and recovered a wallet inside the BMW bearing his license. The wallet contained Covington's identification, social security card. A short time later, Covington attempted to carjack a vehicle at a local car wash in Hillside, but was unsuccessful and fled the area on foot into a local neighborhood. Covington was eventually located and apprehended by police. So one thing I want to know, the people that he carjacked, was they interviewed? Or you know what I'm saying? Because they mentioned he tried to carjack a car after he wrecked his.
Right.
911, I guess someone called 911. But we don't see any statements from them nowhere in this case. Shouldn't that be in here? Correct me if I'm wrong now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. In a big way, yes. Whoever made that 911 call has to be responsible for the police actually being dispatched to that location and to that person who made the call until it's cleared. So, yes.
Miss Naisha, I know you're in the building. And this is something I could have asked you off camera, but did you have an opportunity to hear any of the 911 calls or anything like that? Because I definitely would like to see it. And we definitely going to work on getting the FOIA information submitted, and it's going to be on a later live. But there's a lot of information that we want to look into, and so we can determine what's what, especially when it comes to timeline and why did this happen, why did that happen? Because they said he tried to carjack someone. Then they also said he tried to break into a house. Was somebody there? Or it was a building or a house. Like I said, they weren't very specific about that. But that's information that I want to know for myself to confirm if it even goddamn happened. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's see here.
So according to this list, the officers that were involved, there are 7. There's 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, 1 sergeant, and 4 police officers.
Now, looking at this, these lists of officers. Now, Vetter was the one who he snatched the gun from, supposedly. And Brown was the officer that was with him when they apprehended him at the place of him trying to kick in the door. So those are the 2 officers who apprehended him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to these officers, they all had statements, but there was 3 of them who lawyered up. Why do you think that is, John?
To protect their rights for some strange reason.
Against their own people, right?
Yep.
Now, 3 of these, I want to say 3 of these officers, they were in the precinct when the supposedly shooting happened.
That's correct.
3 of them didn't say they didn't see it. They just so happened walked away when it happened. The ones that seen it was Vetter, of course, the officer whose gun was taken, Christie, and I believe it's Palacios. 2 of those 3 people's story was different. Well, actually, all 3 of them was different in their own way.
Right.
One of them stated that he pulled the gun from, of course, Vetter. He's the one it happened to, so you know what his story is going to be. He pulled the gun, pointed at himself, or pointed at the officer, and then pointed at himself and shot himself. But I believe, matter of fact, it might have been on Goski. They stated that he pointed the gun at his neck. Then the other officer said he pointed the gun at his head. Now, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but those are two separate parts of your body, right, John?
Yes, it is.
So you can't confuse your neck from your head.
Never.
One officer said, like I stated earlier, he pointed the gun at the officer first, and also that's what the witness said as well. The witness that was sitting next to him.
That's correct.
He pointed the gun at the officer and said, shut the fuck up, and then pointed the gun at his head and shot himself. The other officer said he pointed the gun at the officer and then pointed at himself at his neck. Then the other one said, by the time I turned around, he already had the gun at his head and shot himself. The other three say they wasn't in there.
Right. They heard the shot.
Right. They covered themselves because I think they know the truth. That's my opinion. Until I'm able to see that footage for myself,
There you go.
I don't believe nothing they say.
There you go. There you go. That's the heartbeat, because we know that these police precincts have got cameras in every single area in their building. If you're walking in the front door, there's a camera there. You're walking through a foyer or a hallway, there's a camera there. Each door that they go through, whether it be processing, waiting, police officers assigned at the front desk, the back room, back office area, all of that is covered. The only areas, and this is out of the Privacy Act, that wouldn't have cameras is obviously the men and ladies' room.
Right, right.
You see what I'm saying? So if it comes to janitorial supply closets or closets, other rooms, you're going to have a camera present, because it reduces the liability for that precinct because they have weapons in the building.
Right.
And that's the reason for the closed circuit TV cameras to be functional, operational, and collecting data on each shift that each officer or detective or police captain or sergeant, being present at work.
Now,
So the building is monitored.
absolutely, no doubt about it. Of course,
Yeah.
I think that's every precinct.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you this, John. This is another thing that I read during my research and looking at these officer statements. The three of them that lawyered up, they got the same exact lawyer. Isn't that like a conflict of interest? Like, correct me if I'm wrong now. I could be wrong here.
That they have all three are represented by the same attorney?
Right.
Ooh, now that's interesting.
Because I was saying, like, if this was to go to court, he got to represent all three of y'all. What does somebody want to testify against the other officer? You feel what I'm saying?
Right. But
How does that work?
It seems like if they're all three buddying up and one's going to corroborate the other's story, which it appears, if that's true, and appears to be, then yeah.
Yeah, because two of those statements, and I want to say it was the Wands and Vetter, their story was not Wands. Was it Wands? Their story was pretty much. It was almost like it was a template, because it was damn near the same. You know how in Kanika Jenkins' case they had some of those stories damn near looked the same. That's exactly how it was. I was like,
Yeah, almost a copy and paste kind of situation.
All right. Now, they all, and those same three all signed, and you might can help me out with this. It was the witness, I think it's called some HPOC or something like that. It was a witness form that they all signed, and the other ones didn't. And I'm trying to figure out why is that the case. But
I'm trying to figure out if it's a release authorization.
It's in their statement. So,
It's okay.
Whenever you get to it, you ain't got to do it now. But
Yeah.
anything else on this form you want cover?
Just to share and just show the body of the actual police report. It's a big one. It's got a lot in it. I haven't gone through the whole entire document yet, but this is to let you know what we do have, what we were able to obtain from Miss Naisha to begin our study and review and take a look at the investigation process on this case, and to expose this story and to get it out there, because Miss Naisha might not be the only person out there that has gone through this kind of situation concerning a loved one when it comes to matters concerning the police.
Now, Ms. Spiritual Rising says it is a conflict of interest. Usually the judge wouldn't let that ride. But hey, I don't even think this was even taken to court, was it?
To my knowledge, I don't have that. I don't have that information as of yet. But as we proceed through all of the information, especially the information that Ms. Naisha is going to be requesting through Freedom of Information Act, to see if she can not only get all of these reports once again to see if they are complete, because of the news article that was released January 3rd of 2019 stated that some of the reports were given.
Right. Now,
So through the Freedom of Information Act, she'll be able to get all of everything. And within the body of that document, she can request video surveillance footage, closed circuit TV footage, audio footage, interviews that were conducted both in audio and in written form, so that she can compare what she was able to obtain versus what was released publicly.
right.
So that's going to help a lot to discern. Well, she has a law enforcement misconduct case here, wrongful death, or even a homicide.
Jabig said, "I'm not sure if peace officers are allowed to carry one in the chamber, but to reach over, unlocking holster and chamber around and discharge is beyond wild to even think." Now, you would think that a police officer would keep one in the chamber. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure, but why wouldn't they? They have to be prepared in any situations where their life is in danger. Is that right, or am I wrong on that, John?
I mean, it depends on the police officer and how he cares and handles his weapon. Each one is independent from the other. Some will just check the magazine to make sure that they have all of the munitions in it, and won't cock it back. Will keep it in a safety mode, and based upon a dispatch call to them, depending on what type of call they get, and how they are going to prepare themselves to confront that call. It really lies on the police officer's actions at that point. If he has to, get out of his vehicle after arriving and pull his service weapon out, he's going to make sure at that particular time that his weapon is ready.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the way Jaws worded it, he said they're not allowed to have one in the chamber. That don't make sense.
I would think so. I would think, for safety. Once again, safety plays a very important part here.
All right.
Especially if you're at the precinct in a booking and processing area that's got constant video surveillance monitoring in there. They have to prove, according to this report here, they have to prove that this report is valid, that the things that they wrote in this report actually happened.
All right.
And this is yet the information that was kept from Miss Naisha,
Right.
from actually getting a hold of and seeing this information for herself.
All right. So we're to the police statements. and I'm not going to read it all because a lot of it we already touched on. So I'm going to skim through it and just point out some things that, you should know or that struck a nerve with me. Of course, each one of them pretty much start off the same. The arrest, where they found him at. Of course, it took place at 612 Leo Street. He was wanted in attempting carjacking. And then, of course, they tell you what he had on was a ripped pair of jeans and a light colored shirt. Then they go on to where he was arrested, placed in a car. Now, this is what you're going to hear in every statement. He should kill me. They made sure that was said. Everybody said that. I don't know why they didn't shoot me. Why didn't they just shoot me? And then, of course, he was transported to headquarters. Now, all of them also states that he was handcuffed with his right hand to a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where some of the stories change. This particular officer, and I'm going to just go by, this is Oganowski. Oganowski. Stated that he went into the report room to deliver paperwork to officers, Vetter and Jawans. Captain Lamoti was also present. While in the report room, she had a brief interaction with the suspect. Then she exited.
Now I'm counting 4 people with him right now, based upon that last
right
sentence.
Vetter, Wands, and Lamoti. She then exited the report room and stood in the hallway by the front desk. The officer then heard a gunshot, proceed back to the report room where she encountered other officers, including Vetter, Wands, coming out of the room. And then, of course, it says, see the audio-video recording to confirm the details, which we don't have.
Right.
So that's one officer who said they didn't see it. They was in there and they walked out and the shooting happened. Then we got another officer, Sergeant Daniel Wanet. Pretty much the same thing in the beginning. During his tour, when they say tour, I'm assuming they're talking about when they're out in the streets. And of course, they go to Leo Street where they apprehended the suspect, which is, of course, Mr. Covington. And this one, it states who all was there, which was Officer Christie, Carlos Grassa, and Officer Antoine Brown. After apprehending the male suspect, he was secured, of course, in the vehicle number 602. According to Sergeant Wanet, the suspect was very belligerent and kept saying, "Just shoot, just kill me now." But I said, you're gonna keep hearing it. All right, now they say the vehicle 602 was equipped with a camera, but wasn't 100% certain that it was operating at that time. What they remind you of?
Rosemont. Rosemont, Illinois, Crown Plaza.
Yeah. Wanet stated that he cleared the scene at Leo Street, started to return to the headquarters, but was redirected and responded to ShopRite, where he apprehended a male shoplifter. After taking the shoplifter into custody, Sergeant transported the same person to the headquarters, where he brought the shoplifter directly into the report room. Once inside the report room, the shoplifter was eventually handcuffed to a bar next to the prisoner who was arrested on Leo Street.
Hence, do we have a exterior witness that may have seen what went down in that processing area?
Mm-hmm. Now, Wanet said he exited the report room and walked to the communications room. He then heard the sound of a gunshot. Just conveniently, that's what happened to him too. So I guess 2 officers walked out at the same time. Okay, we don't want to see this. He ran to the report room, located Officer Vetter, who was screaming. He observed that Covington was bleeding from his head. Sergeant Wanet stated that he took Officer Vetter's gun and secured it in the armory. Okay. So I wonder if he had it in his hand at that time. Did he take it from?
When you have a discharged weapon, which creates a crime scene, especially if it's an officer's gun, did that officer put on any kind of gloves to preserve any kind of prints that may have been on that gun that belonged to Covington to justify whether he actually pulled that gun and used it?
Absolutely.
Now, the police officer just went over and picked it up off the floor barehanded. He just compromised evidence.
Yep. Oh, that's. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, as you read this document, you have to visually begin to look at what kind of a picture this report is actually conveying to you. Could you imagine a holding room? Have you ever been in a holding room? Have you seen one in the movies? All of us seen, holding pens and jails and all this other stuff in movies. So you can transpose that picture in some way, shape, or form. Now put Mr. Covington there. Now put the other guy whom they picked up on another call, separate issue, put him in the car and put both these guys in the same area. 4 officers go back there to confront Mr. Covington based on maybe statements or a conversation or whatever have you, and then all of a sudden this unfolds.
Right.
So you can actually vividly begin to see how this unfolded, and then you can pay careful attention to the additional officers, their statements, where they were, and what could have been captured on closed-circuit TV video surveillance monitors in that location.
Correct. Now, he also stated in his statement that he observed Covington bleeding from his head. So there's another person who we can put that together and say he shot himself in the head. You still got one person that say he shot him in his neck. We'll get to that statement in just a second. Because we can move from that.
So here's 2 pictures, boss. He's being processed. When we hear this word processed, the picture unfolds. Were they taking fingerprints at the time? Were they taking a photograph at the time? Were they having him sign certain documents pertaining to his property? What they collected, a wallet, anything that was in his pockets, a jewelry that may have been around his neck, a ring that could have been on his finger, a watch that could have been around his wrist. That goes to property. And usually you have to sign off on that. And then when obviously, you're released, you sign it out back to you. That's how they keep documentation.
Right. Now I don't know if they had gotten, I think they was getting ready to get to that point. I don't know if they have been fingerprinted yet. Have been they shot their mug shot. I don't know if they gotten to that point yet, because you remember they stated when they got in, they sat them down, cuffed them to a bar, and I think they didn't move from that point until he supposedly shot himself.
Right. So I'm looking at one picture in my mind of him standing up, being processed. The other picture on the other side shows him handcuffed to a steel bar, his right hand to a steel bar, him on a wooden bench bolted down to the floor, and his head on the floor. How do you get these 2 pictures to make sense if he was in processing? When we start to take a look and start to probe this, I'm just thinking scientifically, as I always do. How you doing, RJ? RJ, I saw you come in here. These are the 2 pictures that I'm now holding side by side on this case, because one is telling us that there was a processing going on and he got the gun, allegedly. The last picture was the officer coming in after she heard the shot, Aganowski, heard the shot, and then saw him in its entirety with him on that wooden bench, him with his right hand handcuffed to a steel bar, and his head and face on the ground.
I don't even think that's possible, John.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
if his arm is handcuffed to a bar, I don't think his arm is long enough to allow him for his head to touch that ground.
So you kind of get a picture of how his body may have been contorted for that kind of a position to have been observed by the officer that came in.
Yeah, because think about it. If he shot himself with his left hand, which he have limited use to, if you shoot yourself now, according to where he supposedly shot himself, because we got one officer said the neck, one officer said, well, 3 officers said the head. If he shot himself in his left temple, or as Ms. Naisha said, right up under his, where? She said left temple, around his eyes, somewhere up in there.
Right.
Isn't your body going to shift to the right? Now, how the hell is your head going to hit the floor when you got another suspect sitting right next to you, and then he had no blood on him? Get the fuck out of here.
Yes, it's hard when you start to put the details together, yeah.
Now, I don't know if that suspect was sitting to his left or his right, but regardless, if your right hand is linked to a bar on a bench you're sitting on, and you fall that way, there's no fucking way in hell your head is going to hit that ground, bro. It's not as possible. What's up, Nequa B?
Nequa B is in the house.
David Dundee, what's going on, fam? Who else in the building?
Nosy Bug is in the house.
Building, yeah. What's happening? Nosy Bug said that was staged.
If the incident occurred in a processing area, sometimes, most of the time anyway, when police officers know that they put you down, they shoot you once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, and they know that you're down, they'll still turn you over on your stomach and handcuff you in that position, yeah. Right. And that's just the way they're trained. Even though now you need medical assistance, it changes the whole entire dynamic now.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, within the body of the timeline, when was he given medical assistance from the time of this incident?
Well, I can say this. They pronounced him 31 minutes after it happened. So, if I'm correct, I think I wrote this down. He was pronounced like at 5:17.
Okay.
So my assumption is from 4:46 to 5:17. My assumption was they were trying to do CPR and revive him, because they didn't pronounce him to then. What the hell was they doing between them 31 minutes?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right. So I want to get to the part of the report that that states how that crime scene was released by the medical examiner.
I don't think I got that far. I got down like 9 pages.
Yeah. So if it's in the body of this document, we can find it, because after a crime has been committed and a call is put out, and a medical examiner has been summoned to this crime scene for processing, they're the only ones who can release that scene back to the original primaries.
All right, so stated he took.
And we'll have to find out what time that medical examiner showed up, how long they processed that area that this alleged incident took place, how his body was processed, what they did. There's a lot to go over, and obviously that a good portion of that's going to show up in the autopsy when we get to that.
All right, so Ms. Naisha's statement is next. You want to scroll up a little bit?
And I appreciate the chat room tonight. Much love to everyone joining us for a special live with Mr. Boss Blake and myself. We're covering the mysterious death of Jermaine Covington out of Union, New Jersey, Hillside, New Jersey, who died mysteriously in the custody of police back on June 22nd of 2018.
Yeah, Internal Affairs actually was involved in this, Uncle Charles, because I actually read that in the report as well. They was actually looking at Vetter, and the other two officers were witnesses. He was looked at as, I guess you can call him a suspect. But if you're going to scroll that up a little bit, I'm going to call you Uncle Charles. John Q. No, the other way. We done read this one, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was Miss Naisha's on. Okay.
So we're going to get to the part of the statement for Miss Naisha. The following is a synopsis of Miss Naisha's sworn statement, which she provided on June 22nd of 2018. Miss Naisha stated that she had been married to Jermaine Covington since 2004, and that they had resided in Bel Air, Maryland. She acknowledged that their relationship had been turbulent over the years. For example, when asked if they lived together, Miss Naisha responded, no, he's living in my backyard. Miss Naisha stated that Covington had been diagnosed as schizophrenic bipolar and was prescribed medication to treat his disorder. This is very important information because now it gives us information regarding Mr. Covington's mental capacity during this whole scene.
Exactly. Now, I know by what John just read, some of that statement will be like, wow. Well, the thing is, this statement that we're reading does not include the questions that they asked her. So I just want to say this before you start passing a judgment on what you think. In the interview with Ms. Naisha, when they set her down, treating her like she was a criminal, the first thing they asked her to do was tell me something bad about your husband. Now, how the hell is that the way to start a damn interview? Mm-hmm. Especially when you don't even know what happened. Why are you here? Why am I here? You know what I'm saying? Right. Of course, you tell us how your relationship. Well, we had a rocky time, and whenever he act up, he got a tent in the back where they go camping sometimes or whatever. And if I'm mad at him, he'll go back there. They switched all that around and said, no, he don't live with me. He stay in a tent in my backyard. So you have to be careful when reading some of these statements. Yes. Now, they didn't say this wasn't verbatim. So to me, they're trying to say this is exactly what she said.
This is a narrative. Correct.
So
that's a very, very good point, boss, that you bring up, because if Mr. Covington had a previous record in the past regarding some of the specificities that we're about to get into, they just, I believe, ice cream scooped his whole entire record and tried to make it a matter of record pertaining to this incident.
No.
If you follow what I'm saying.
I got you.
Okay. Your past defines who you are in the present. So if he had any kind of a record, police past, for any kind of street dealings, any kind of associations that he may have had from the street, from the people that he knew he ran with, et cetera, and up until that point where he meets Naisha and they get together and they start to grow together as a couple, which a lot of that kind of a relationship basically has helped to change him from his past ways. Then that has to be of significant nature to be in the present. Things have changed, but knowing the police, they have to scoop up your entire record, every ticket that they ever wrote you, every incident that you ever called about, anytime you interacted with police, whether it be for yourself or someone else. They'll scoop it up and make sure that all the pertinent information is there. This is the individual. We know him since what, 2004, and this is what we have on this individual in its entirety, rather than singularly regarding this particular event.
Right.
And this is, it's important to discern what they're really putting out here, because this is the careful area that we're looking at.
Right. And pretty much it's obvious what they were trying to do. They were trying to paint a bad picture of this guy off rip, make it seem like no one really cared about him. And just like Miss Naisha said, another black man is just going off the streets. And that's what they did. They tried to make her look like she really didn't care. But that was not the case at all. So I just want to make sure I put that out there before anyone said, well, damn. You know what I'm saying?
And for a lot of people too, they make family members feel like they're a suspect.
Right.
in a lot of these cases.
All right. So now, as we stated earlier, he had some issues with, he got shot in his hip, and he had issues with his arm. So he was on pain medication, and so they asked Ms. Naisha, did he have drug issues? She stated, he was addicted to Oxycontin. Now, the heroin, I can't speak on. I don't know, but Oxycontin is a pain drug. It's a very strong drug that a lot of people in the streets take, who really don't need it. Now, this man actually needed it. Now, was he addicted to it because he liked the feeling? I don't know. Or did it just make sure the pain stayed away? I can't speak on that. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of those things. I'm not up to making any kind of determination on that as of yet.
Gotcha.
Because it's still early in the investigation.
Gotcha.
So, she further explains that Covington was on federal and state probation. Okay, here's the past record.
Yep.
Here's a past record. Why did they find it so important to include in this report?
It has nothing to do with what happened.
This is an area. Once I get this report physically put in paper, I can begin to highlight and take this thing apart and get a better understanding as to what they're including and what they're omitting from this report. I'll continue. The last time Miss Naisha had any contact with Covington was early that afternoon at approximately 5 p.m. Key time, folks. Key time. Mr. Boss Blake is going to pick up on that right after I finish. She expressed that she was angry at Covington and texted some mean stuff. So we've got digital messages that are part of this by cell phone, because he had learned that he had taken her. She had learned that he had taken her car. This is a make and model BMW 325i 2006, color midnight blue, Maryland license plates, without her permission. In short, Miss Naisha explained that she had left her vehicle with a friend in Newark while vacationing in Punta Cana. While she was away, Covington traveled from Maryland to New Jersey via bus and somehow gained control of the vehicle. And it also says here, see Naisha's audio/video recorded statement and transcripts of the same for further details. which have been added to this case file. At the end of the interview, Ms. Naisha signed a Hillside Police Department permission to search form authorizing UCPO and its designees permission to search her above vehicle for items of evidentiary value regarding this investigation. The form has been added to this case file. Interesting. Not here's what happened to your husband. Now they are escalating this in terms of getting consent for searches. This is what I mean by the police starts to treat other family members like suspects.
Right. Absolutely. Now, if y'all were paying attention, and I just want to see who were paying attention. Do anybody remember the time that we stated earlier that the incident happened? Drop it in the chat if you remember. If not, that's okay, because we're going over a lot of information.
Yeah.
Not you, Miss Naisha. We know what time you know. We know you know. But I just want to see if anybody remember the time that the incident happened. We'll give you all a second. I'm trying to bring this screenshot up real quick.
You need me to pause on the report so you can bring up the screenshot?
Unless you got it.
No, I don't have it ready. So
I don't need it. Hold on, let me email it to myself. Because what I did was I sent it to you, text it to you, so I didn't.
Miss Smith, this happened in 2018, June 22nd of 2018, on a Friday.
Let me go ahead real quick.
Uncle Charles says 5:17 p.m.
That was what time they pronounced him. Hey, that's a good guess. That's a good guess, though.
Yeah, you're close.
Real close, Uncle Charles.
RJ said it was 4:30ish.
You pretty goddamn close, RJ, for just coming in.
Yeah, you're getting warmer, Doc.
Yeah, one more guess.
One more again. Here we go. Uncle Charles, 4:36. Nosy Bug is 4:46.
All right, so I sent it to you, so you ain't got to stop sharing. You can put it up there. I just sent you that screenshot.
Say again?
I just sent you the screenshot into your email. Unless you just want me to do it, I can. It's up to you.
You sent me about 50 emails.
I just sent it to you, so it'll be the last one that you got. I sent it to both of us, so I have it as well.
Let's see where we are. I gotta take these down because these I cannot show.
I got you back, man. I got you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just getting to. I got to clear this because when I screen share, I do not want it popping up.
I got you. I understand that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see where I am here.
Nosy Bug. Let's see. She said 4:46. Nosy Bug hit it right on the head. Spiritual Rising was 1 minute off. It actually happened at 4:46. Now, reason why I bring that up because that report that y'all just read, they asked her when was the last time she spoke with him or had contact with him via text message. This is the text message that she received at 5:01 from his phone. Now, the weird thing about this text message, of course, the time, and he doesn't call her by her government name. Y'all see where we going at with this?
Uh-huh.
So if he was shot, or he supposedly killed himself at 4:46, who the fuck sent this text message from his phone? Now, from his phone, this is where it get even crazier. It shows that he sent the message at 1:40 a.m. the day prior. Well, same day. 1:40 a.m. on the 20th. Am I right, Miss Naisha? Correct me if I'm wrong. In her interview, they asked who was his service provider. That's when red flags start going up in Miss Naisha's head.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Naisha feels like they went and backlogged his text and pushed the time back, because that would tell that one of them fuckers sent this lady a text message pretending to be Jermaine. There's no way his should have said 1:40 a.m. and hers said 5:01 p.m. She was in the airport waiting on him to pick her up when she received this message.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
Now. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. That's right.
Now, she asked all these questions. Why did you pull him over? They didn't want to answer it. How did he die? They didn't want to answer it. Now, as she waited on her husband in the airport, she ended up contacting her brother. Her brother came and picked her up from the airport, took her to his house. She never been to his house. But right now she's worried where the hell her husband is at.
Right.
So, she's canvassing the neighborhood, and she just happened to start seeing police cars, unmarked cars, all through the neighborhood. Now, we can't say they was 100% there because of her, but it was just weird because she kept spotting them as she canvassed this neighborhood. Now, during the time she's canvassing this neighborhood, she got a phone call from a friend of hers who was telling her about, I guess it was a news article that happened where a blue BMW was in a car wreck. She looked at it and it looked just like her car. Right? I wanted to say 15 minutes later, if that, she get a phone call from homicide. Well, let me pause right there. Let me pause. Let me go back before she even got that phone call from her friend. She actually stopped one of the law enforcement and said, "Hey, did you see a blue BMW?" And their response was, "No, but if we do, we'll let you know." And kept it moving. No questions. No why you ask. No let me get your information. Where do you live? Nothing. None of that. Does that fucking make sense? No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
None whatsoever. Now, the timeline, as I stated, continued. She received the phone call from a friend. She looked at the article. The car looked like hers. Now, a little bit later, homicide called her and started asking her questions about her husband. Confirming, because her name was on the car. She confirmed, yes, that's my car. Well, we need you to come down here and talk to us. Well, how the fuck I'm gonna get there? Y'all got my damn car. You know what I'm saying? At this point, they ain't say that the car was drivable or nothing.
Right.
So they came to her brother's house. And remember, in her head, she seen that there was an accident with this blue BMW, and I guess the driver of that car was in grave condition. I'm not sure. But that's in her head right now. Now she get a phone call from homicide. You gotta wonder, you gotta be thinking right now, oh Lord, that might be my husband that was in that car. So when they pulled up and you know start talking to her, she said, please don't tell me that was my husband. Because that's what she was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't even why they was there. Or was it? That's the question. So, you know, they talked to her, explained what was going on, and they finally told her, your husband committed suicide. You know she ain't believe that shit. You know she ain't believe that shit. Matter of fact, they said it was a black BMW, okay, but hers is blue. So she made a statement, and I ain't gonna lie, this one kind of struck me. I ain't gonna lie to you, this struck me like, whoa, you said that, and that's actually what happened? She told them the only way my husband committed suicide was he took your gun and shot himself. John, when you heard that, tell me what you thought, bro. I'm gonna get me a drink. Tell me what you think, bro.
Yeah, this is heavy. This is heavy, you know, and to put ourselves in Miss Naisha's shoes at this particular time of contact by law enforcement concerning Mr. Covington, his condition, what is one to think? What is one to feel at that very moment? How do you process all of these different pieces simultaneously all at once in a given moment right here, right now, as to what she was processing, how she was able to begin to even start to make sense out of what she was being told? It's incredible. And it definitely takes spiritual strength to hold yourself together in a moment like this. No doubt. Keeping the timeline on this case is critically important. So when we go from a 4:45 timeline to a 4:30 timeline to a 4:37 timeline to a 4:42 timeline, up until we get to 5:01 p.m. timeline, we got a big problem between 4:45 and 5:01. And that's right, RJ. It's a big red flag. It's busting out already, and we're just getting warmed up,
Man,
covering this information, and this is where we are so far. And this is early in this process.
Yeah, it's a lot that we're gonna break this down about for like 4 or 5 segments, but we just want to give y'all, you know, the beginning of what we was told by Miss Naisha, and what we read, what we found out.
And Mr. Boss, do you have that same picture, the thumbnail picture? Yeah, if we can just put that up for the chat and Miss Naisha, because we'd like to at least begin to close up tonight's session with a positive photo of Jermaine and his son.
Get to find the other one real quick.
And also, in addition to everything that we've been covering here tonight, this is just the start of, like I said, a 3, 4, 5-part live series that Mr. Boss Blake and myself will be having concerning this case. We'll also have open panel discussion concerning what you've been able to learn from what we've been able to present to you with the permission and consent of Miss Naisha, who will be joining us on one of those lives. So you don't want to miss any of this series because we're looking to unpack a lot of information and then begin to put it in a comprehensible form, hopefully enough to get it to the the current Attorney General from the previous acting Attorney General Prosecutor's Office that was there at the time this case was current in 2018.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful family picture, only to find that what's written behind in on this story, it's heartbreaking.
Most definitely.
And for someone not to have received their loved one's body out of the whole thing.
4 years, people. 4 years. Nobody. Now, I sent you another one. Did you get the one with the bag?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick.
We're going to wrap this up in a second, y'all. We ain't going to hold out too much longer.
Okay, so we are at the, oh, wow.
2 hours.
You sent me a picture, medical examiner's office?
I thought I sent you the one with the bag. If not, I can download.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at now.
Yes. That's
you
the one.
want me to share that?
I don't think it's nothing gory either. It's just a bag.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Okay.
Anything happen, I'll take it. But she just
okay, because you know me, we have to protect our channels, But this is not a graphic. This is nothing graphic. No trigger warning. But it does depict the body of Jermaine Covington at the medical examiner's office during the time of the possible autopsy that took place. So I'm going to come out of here. Where am I back? Okay.
Now this is the body that they showed her that was not his. And I'm going to tell you why when John brings this up. This is where it gets real crazy, and we're gonna stop here because y'all think this story. It gets even crazier, people.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Take your time, bro. Take your time.
I'm getting there.
Miss Leslie say they played a dirty trick in the end, and all will be exposed. You damn right. Just let me know when you ready, bro.
All right, ready.
All right. So this is what they tried to say or tried to tell her is her husband. She knew the bag he was in, how it looked, the size of the bag, because why? She know how tall her damn husband is. The person in this bag, people, he's 6'9". Her husband is 5'10". That is a goddamn foot difference. Damn them. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And this is what the funeral director wanted her to believe to be her husband. And she asked, how am I going to identify my husband? They told her his name is on the bag. Man, I would have slapped the fuck out of him if you'd have tried me like that. Because that was just straight disrespectful and insensitive. His name on the bag. I will slap the name off your face. Play with me like that. And this is what happens in America, people. They try to desensitize us so we just think it's normal for this type of shit that happens.
Right.
It's not normal. And Nosy Bug say, so is this the new normal? If you want to accept it, but we can't accept this shit.
No, never. We can never accept anything than the truth.
How can you confuse, and this is actually in the report, 6'9". Is you smoking dope? We just looked at a picture of it, unless his son is 6'6". At 13, this man ain't no goddamn 6'9". Quit playing. I'm gonna leave it at that. 'Cause that shit right there pisses me off, John.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I appreciate your passion in expressing yourself. I mean, because when you take a look at what we are digging into and looking at, and you find out.
Oh shit! My fault, John. Come on back up. I was just trying to remove that damn picture. I didn't know it was gonna take you down as well. My fault, my brother. Slide on back up here, man. My apologies. I was just trying to take the picture down. We ain't have to see it no more. But yeah, we'll wait on John to come back up, man. That was my fault. Most definitely is bull. Most definitely is bull, Miss Leslie. And we actually got another case that John brought to my attention as well that he talked about on his page that we're going to be talking about sometime this week. Definitely in the near future. I think we're going to do it this week as well. And it was about, what's his name? Oh, God. Burtis Morgan Jr. Similar situation. Funeral home director didn't want to show the parents the body and all this. They had to give the funeral director their cell phone to go take a picture because they didn't want to show it to them. If you know anybody in, the business, the funeral director business, you know anyone personally, thank God I do. My friend, which his father passed away, they got a funeral home. You can't even trust the goddamn people that we send you at the end of someone's life. They still doing dirty shit while you dead. That tells you the type of world we live in, people. It's crazy. Super crazy. John, if you coming back up, bro, let me know. Y'all got any questions before we get out of here? Feel free. This is the time while we wait on Mr. John to come back up. I accidentally knocked him down. Yeah, nose above, most definitely. And these type of cases right here, we try to definitely bring attention. Y'all know me on my page. I don't really shoot for the big cases that everybody else is doing. And I don't care if I get 50 views, 20 views. As long as I'm putting the story out, I'm doing my part. It is very sad, and John said this on his page as well, that people pick and choose on who they want to help. It's a sad world. It's a very, very sad world. But I can guarantee if it was one of your loved ones, you would want the story out there too. Now, I understand some people don't even like watching stuff like this. I understand that. But if you're a part of the royal family, if you're a part of John's Q's family, you should be supporting everything that we do. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't sit here and do any bullshit, put out any bullshit, clout chase, do clickbait. We don't do any of that. As well as our brother RJ. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to his channel as well. We doing this because we have a platform and we have a voice. And only reason we have a voice is because of you. You feel what I'm saying? So, y'all make sure y'all share this live. John Q is going to be setting up his live, which I believe he said he's going to do it on Tuesday. And then I think sometime during this week, we're going to bring on Miss Naisha so you can meet her. She can tell the story. You can get it from top to bottom from her. And get an understanding. Right now, we behind the scenes, trying to get this case, give it some more firepower So we can wake these people up who obviously choose not to help. Miss Naisha done been bamboozled by lawyers, people that she actually thought that was there to help her, really didn't have her best interest at heart at all. That lawyer, Mr. Hawkins, he's not helping her. He's not even helping her no more. He never intended on helping her. You got to remember, when you work in a community and you're a part of, I guess, you know, I ain't gonna say law enforcement, but if you have a law firm, you somewhat a part of, you know, the government, and you have to build some type of relationship with law enforcement, right? Oh, I owe you a favor. You owe me a favor. Here, I need you to do this to make sure this doesn't happen. That shit actually happens. You see what Miss Wanda did? She got a lawyer that wasn't even from Brunswick. Sorry about that, John.
No, that's okay. These things do happen.
So we definitely got to keep pushing this story out here. And if you want to help, contact me or John, and we can make it happen. But we only want the facts out there. We don't want no bullshit out there. And we gonna do what we can. We just like we told Miss Naisha, we're not trained professionals, but we got a brain. We study a lot of this shit, and we know what we need to know to push this to get out on a larger, spectrum for the world can see. And it's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. Right now we got 21 people here. I bet you if this was somewhere else, it'd probably be 400 people here right now. Tell me I'm lying.
Tell me I'm lying. You better believe it. For almost a year, people are jam-packing their YouTube channels with Summer Wells, and the rest of the other cases that don't matter too much, unfortunately.
And we hear, this is what bothers me. We hear on the when what's the lady name who husband killed her and hit her, and they finally found him dead? What's his name? You remember they found the guy dead in the woods somewhere? You remember the case that was big and everybody was complaining that they was putting so much attention on that, but not others? Somebody in the chat.
Gabby Petito.
Petito. Yeah. Everybody complained about, they got so much worldwide exposure for them, but nobody else. But we got 20 people in this chat. 20 people in this chat. But we appreciate all 20 of y'all, I bet you that much.
Yes. Absolutely. And we're going to continue with part 2 on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on my channel. We're going to continue to work through the I would call this a Magno document, the 229 pages. Hopefully we'll have some additional information that we can share. We're being very, very discreet in what we share, only because, the outcome of what we're trying to accomplish has to be documented and, of course, put together for the Attorney General of New Jersey to address it.
Most definitely. I want to thank my moderators in here, my members in the building, for holding me down in the chat, kings and queens, lioness. Everybody in here pretty much family. I mean, everybody should be blue in here. I don't know who probably ain't blue is Miss Naisha because she's new here. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? I like to show love to the people that's here. Share it, hit the like button, so we can get this up in on YouTube. And they can
the algorithm. That's right.
Yeah, so we can recommend this video. Because the more people like it, the more views it gets. YouTube are like, well, shit, a lot of people like it. Let me put this as a recommended video.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely appreciate that, and I'm pretty sure Ms. Naisha would appreciate it as well. You got anything else, John, before we wrap this thing up?
I want to thank everyone for joining us for a special live with Mr. Boss Blake and myself, covering the mysterious death of Jermaine Covington out of New Jersey on June 22nd of 2018. I also want to thank Miss Naisha and family for trusting us and allowing us to bring your story to light in a much different and dynamic way. We also thank you for providing us with the information and consent to actually share what you've been able to share with us to bring light to this story.
Most definitely. Definitely appreciate you. It's nice for allowing us to share your story.
So, with that said, I'm going to let you close it up, Mr. Boss Blake. You did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for the new intro, which will finally be premiered on Tuesday Nights Live. You did an incredible job. We want to keep all of the important cases, the casework that we do together, collectively together, because each one helps us to learn what's happening in our society. Each one tells us not only what's happening, but also is teaching us what is truly happening when it comes to our children, when it comes to our family members, and then again when it comes to laws being changed about certain things. So we have to keep a very careful, vigilant eye out on when the laws change, because it does affect us all in some way, shape, or form. So we look forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday night at 6. I'll be posting the live shortly, and we'll look forward to having you there. So with that said, much love to you, Mr. Boss Blake, for having me, and I look for your company on Tuesday. I know we'll talk before then. And once again, much love to Miss Naisha and family. We'll see what we can do. We're scratching the surface, and we're going to keep scratching until we can put together a piece of work that we can get into the proper hands to do a review and a reinvestigation of this case that you brought to us. And thank you.
All right, well, thank you for everybody in the chat. I appreciate all the love, all the support. It takes a lot to do this. It's not easy. Maintaining a home, maintaining your kids' livelihood, and doing this, but I love doing it, so I'm gonna keep doing it as best as I can, as much as I can. Again, I want to thank y'all for being here. Y'all make sure y'all tune in Tuesday on John's Q channel. Make sure, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. With that being said, we're gonna get up out of here. Y'all have a good night, man.